was shocked by a recent headline that points out a surprising trend in older marriages. A new study by a University of Utah professor finds older Americans are cheating more on spouses than younger couples. We wondered what's behind this generation gap when it comes to fidelity, so we're turning to our Studio 5 contributor and psychologist, Dr. Liz Hale, to get her perspective on the research and find out how to make marriages last. Always good to see you, my friend.
Nice seeing you.
I said I was shocked. Did this headline surprise you?
Oh, well, let's talk about the good news, bad news. Okay, so the good news is the divorce rate is declining, and so is the infidelity rate, except for in this small little group of people, 50 to 60s. And so you think about, so these 50-something, 60-somethings, baby boomers, right? They grew up in the sexual revolution, women's liberation. Does that have something to do with it? You know, so I think it left us with more questions than answers, quite frankly. But I think also the good news, Brooke, to me, is that pop psychology would have us believe there's a lot more infidelity than there really is. So I think that's also good news, too. 20%, 14%, whatever the numbers show. It's less than you would think. If you ask, like, University of Utah college psychology students, how much infidelity do you think there is? Those numbers are always projected to be very high. 50% they think, or 80%. It's just not the case. It's devastating when it happens, but it's not happening quite to the extent that we would fear.
That is encouraging. That is encouraging. So we talk about more questions than answers. I think whenever you have a grabby headline like that, then the questions do start to come to the surface. Do you have a personal gut feeling on why you think the numbers are where they are, as far as, it's a slight margin, right? I mean, I think they're what, 20%?
20% versus 14% for younger. Well, what's interesting and why I think is a little confusing, this is even after talking to the professor twice on the phone, right? Nick Wolfinger, who's become a friend of mine over the years through these various studies. Is that while 50 to 60-year-olds are having more infidelity, maybe in that same age range, more of them are disproving more of infidelity too. So you've got a little bit of a disparity there. And some researchers are actually saying, you know what, you don't want to get too familiar in marriage. Maybe that's why this happens. I don't agree with this, by the way.
People are bored or they're too comfortable?
Yes, we're too familiar, we're too intimate, so it breeds contempt or disinterest, less eroticism.
You don't believe that?
It's really not the case. Well, John Gottman did a study of 70,000 people over 23 countries, and he found just the opposite, that everybody, no matter the age, is craving that one special someone, that close relationship, a best friend with a partner, that we crave cuddles and passionate kissing and date night and surprise gifts and really growing old with someone, that we value that much more. Because the old adage is, you know, don't wear those flannel nightgowns. But you know what? You can crack open a flannel nightgown. That really isn't the problem. That really is not it.
What sort of help or hope is there, Liz, out there for couples who may find themselves in this trap, though? They're in a mature marriage, right? They've committed their life with this person, and they find themselves hitting a bump farther down the road.
It can be so discouraging and so shocking and so upsetting, and many of these couples were going to divorce after their affair. But at the same time, there is such an opportunity for self-disclosure, self-discovery, that there really is help for them, and most couples who get professional intervention can survive. I have a colleague who says to couples, you know what? Most of us are going to have 2 or 3 marriages. Some of us are going to have that with the same person. So your first marriage is over. Are you ready to start creating your second marriage now?
Interesting.
I love that thought.
Interesting.
The first marriage probably is gone. The way we thought things would be or are is no longer, but you have this opportunity to start again and to learn from the first marriage.
I like that as well, recommitting to that person again in maybe a new setting or with new expectations on the table.
Yeah, with a whole new mindset, absolutely.
I feel like we talk about this a lot, but it is the pursuit, as you described, of so many people and the longing of so many people to have that love that lasts. You say the first step toward that sort of committed relationship is just a solid bank of trust.
That's true. And I think most of our arguments and our conflict is based on the fact that we don't trust. We all want to know that I'm being loved as much as I'm loving, or I'm being respected and cared about as much as I am caring and respecting this other person. We're so afraid that it's going to be unequal or unfair that it really does take some time, some self-disclosure, some risk to really start to build trust, and to know that when we have the bumps and the doubts that we go through in life, which are inevitable, that we can have that positive sentiment override with that trust, and we can say, you know what, I know we're going to be okay. He's going crazy right now because I didn't cover the dish in the microwave, but that's okay because we have enough trust built in, so we can get over those bumps by saying, he's kind of crazy about the dish in the microwave. I don't know. And we just move on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I like that example because trust seems like a big overarching concept, but you're describing trust, you know, weaving in and out of the daily interactions that we have with our spouse or with our partner.
It's not just the trust that you are going to stay faithful to me. It's like, do you have my back? Are you my best friend?
Most couples would say, I listen to my spouse, I listen to my husband, I listen to my wife. Are couples really listening, do you think?
Well, you know where the magic comes in listening is in the negativity. You have to really tune into when our spouse is upset. There's magic that happens when we can let them know that, hey, honey, when you're in pain, my whole world stops and I listen. That's really what that's about. And it's really hard to do, isn't it? It's so easy to get defensive when our partners are upset or they're angry or they're disappointed with us, but really tuning in, because most of the time it's not really about us, but it's something that kind of got scratched or upset within them. Maybe it's from a long time ago. It doesn't matter. It's between us now. And when we can really listen and say, man, I want to hear everything, that is crucial.
What's the secret, Liz, or is there a secret to lasting commitments?
You know, I think when we're all the way in, when we kind of invest all the way in, in other words, I choose to live my life with you. You're the one I want to be with. And you keep them positively in mind. Even when you're separated from your mate during the day and you're both doing your own things, think about them, but think about the good things about them. You know, one of the risks of infidelity is when we compare our life today, our partnership, with someone else. It's very easy because, you know, at work, at the water hole, if you will, I don't pay bills or mortgage with Bob, you know, or change dirty diapers with Bob. And yet Bob is so nice and so interested and seems so caring, not like my spouse at home. It's so easy to make that. So really watch yourself. Are you starting to think that the grass is greener elsewhere? Are you starting to make those comparisons? That is dangerous if so.
You want couples to give 100% of their heart. What does that look like?
Yeah, you know, it's full attunement, being all the way in, turning towards your partner. Again, we learned from John Gottman, kind of the marriage guru, of really trying to have that non-defensive listening and that understanding and that empathy of like, your pain is my pain. You know, I care about you and I'm all the way in.
Well, we always appreciate your advice and today your perspective on that study that I think grabbed a lot of attention.
Yeah, I think it brought up a lot of conversations, if nothing else.
Thank you so much, Liz. We appreciate it.